Hello folks, this is Durag Wisdom and today is Y2K 19.09.11. September 11th, day that will live in infamy. The world already sucked before 9/11 and it got worse after. My friend Bob Silberg was a teacher, a real teacher. This man, this educator, dedicated his life to making sure children learned everything possible about the wonderful art, the wonderful study, the important study of science. I respect science. I respect the work of scientists. Bob Silberg and I worked in the same school, IS 278 in Brooklyn. I taught 28 years in the New York City school system, and from 1986 until I retired in Y2K9, we worked together all those years in that school. And the first time that he met me, I guess, or one of the first early times he met me, you gotta picture this. You're standing, he was a dean, and you're standing down the end of a long hall. You're looking down. There's this doors, classroom after classroom, and suddenly you hear a sound. One of the doors must have opened because you see from your angle the wall here, and then there's this teacher pushing a student who's sitting in a chair holding on into the hallway. The kid won't get out of the chair. So suddenly the teacher picks this chair up as much as he can, not that he's Hercules, and he actually dumps the kid out of the chair onto the floor and then proceeds to go back into his room. That was me, folks. And that was probably one of the first times or the early times that Robert Silberg got to know me, or he wanted to. I'm an acquired taste. You either love me, like me, or hate me. There's hardly any middle ground. Bob Silberg was one of those, like myself, I guess, who took a different tact on how they related to people. He had this droll sense of humor, very intelligent, very dedicated. He did extra stuff at the school. He helped to grade all the science tests, get all that together, to run all these standardized tests you have to do. He tried to get all that bureaucracy together and as easy as possible. Wanted to make sure that these kids got what they were going to get, the best of any education that they could have. He even worked during the summer sometimes in cafeteria duty. I've worked in the summer too, yes. But I was not in any way near as good a teacher as Robert Silberg. Oh, I could control my class, and I did. I had a lesson plan, and I tried to stick with it legally because these kids don't deserve a do-nothing clown in front of their class who doesn't care, doesn't want to do anything, just read his newspaper and sleep. And believe me when I tell you this, and that's a cliche, this believe me word, but I have to tell you, working as a teacher was one of the hardest jobs you could ever have. More about this another time. But you see, the point I'm trying to make is that Robert Silberg had it right, 100%. He and I went through all the abuses you could imagine of working in the New York City school system, public school system. The fact that parents don't raise their children anymore, that's one problem. And I guess that was my problem the day I dumped that kid in the hallway. Because you see, I'm a baby bungler, and my school system where I was learning was run by my parents' generation and those before. And they were authoritarians. They were disciplinarians. They believed that before you could enjoy the freedom of a free country, you had to live under a totalitarian educational system. Sure, there was no thing, students have rights. Yes, right. My teachers could beat the crap out of us. They were scary, some of them. But they were nice. Firm, fair, and friendly. But they could beat the crap out of you. And if they did, and your parents found out about it, the teacher didn't get punished. We got more punishment. I never had a teacher hit me. I was never that bad that I had a teacher hit me. But the fact is, the generation we were working with, our generation's children and younger, didn't teach them that. They taught them freedom. You had to worship freedom without earning it. So they felt they had the right to curse teachers out. Parents didn't care about how these kids just used to bring their sodas, their junk food to school without their notebooks. And I loved my students too. I understood that they were leaderless, that they weren't being taught any kind of values that would help them keep our country safe and sane and competent. Look at what we got running the country now. Bob Silberg and I, but especially him, went through all the abuse. Came to school as, came to school like we were supposed to, professionally. We had to be there, and we did, and we weren't sitting and taking up space. He was always in front of his classes teaching, and he had homeroom duty too at some point. And that is a giant bureaucratic paperwork nightmare in itself. But Bob Silberg had time to be a friend. And we shared the memories of driving to school when it was after a snowstorm and they had opened the schools. We did these remembrances after he retired. And I think he retired a couple of years after I did. And he was younger. I'm 69. I think he was like 65 or something. Younger than I, or younger than me, excuse me. Smarter than me. I feel more dedicated than I was. And we found time, and he found time to be my friend. And we did stuff. We went out to drinks at Wheeler's in Brooklyn every month. And then after I retired, and after he retired, he said, let's go to Manhattan. And we went out to drink, like downtown. One of our favorite places that we found to go to drink to was the Stonewall Inn in the West Village. And if you're going to visit New York, that's one of the greatest places to visit because it still looks like New York, not Disneyland. Yes, both of us are heterosexual like you wouldn't believe. But both of us were liberal, progressive. We believed that in New York City, we had the right, as long as we behaved, we had the right to drink with any person, any group, any people. Yes, we got together and we went over old times. This wonderful person who suddenly out of nowhere, it seems, just suddenly is dead. The last time I saw Bob Silberg was in the spring. He didn't like to advertise his problems and everything around other people. I respected that, but I didn't believe for any moment that he was, as I was told later, stage 4 cancer. And this week he died. And I'll never see him again, never know his presence. But one thing is certain, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Silberg did his part in making sure that the youth, the children, are well prepared to take on the challenging tasks of living in this future world that we, the baby bunglers, messed up big time. And he was there to make sure they were prepared. Dedicated, teaching, a great human being. And now he's gone, well too early. And this world is darker because of that.